This past Friday, the official announcement was made here in Saskatoon about this pilot project, an effort to get people on the road calling police on 911 to report what they believe are impaired drivers. The program is called Report Impaired Drivers, RID, R-I-D. Getting a couple of minutes here this morning with the Minister in charge of SGI, June Draude, to talk a little bit more about it. Good morning, June.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How big of an issue does SGI see impaired driving being in our province these days, June?
Well, we do believe it's a big issue. Every year in Saskatchewan, there's about 1,400 collisions involving impaired drivers, and that results in 850 injuries and 50 deaths on our roads.
So why a specialized program like this? My thinking's always been, well, gee, if I'm driving down the road and I see a vehicle, where somebody's clearly impaired, I'm going to call the police on them anyway. What's motivating this specialized program on this?
Well, this is I guess everybody doesn't do what you have done, and we're just hoping more people will. There's been different programs like this in Eastern Canada where there has been people have been allowed to call in, and it has really increased the number of calls. And they also have similar programs in places like Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland, and there they found that deaths due to drunk driving accidents decreased by as much as 36% when people were told they should phone in
Really?
if they see somebody that's impaired.
The city police, I'm just curious about how their response time would be on something like this. If I'm driving around the city and I see somebody who's clearly impaired and I call 911, I guess the concern would be timing, like how soon can police respond and what kind of a priority would they be putting on these calls?
Well, they're putting a priority on it, but they've also said that if they don't get there in time, they will have the license plate number of the person that has been suspected of impaired driving, and they will be sending a letter out to them advising them that their vehicle has been seen driving in a way that has led people to believe that someone was impaired. So there will be a follow-up.
Oh, that's interesting. So the whole idea that letting people know that, hey, we know that you've done this and we'll be keeping an eye out for you then.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. Starting on the weekend, there's going to be additional eyes on the lookout for impaired drivers. So it's not just going to be the responsibility of the police. We can all get involved. I know that SLGA and MAD and SAD are also behind this issue, as well as Rocco Radio, and we're really hoping that we can make a difference.
What's the onus on me if I make the call? Do I have to give my name? Is it like a Crime Stoppers thing? Can I remain anonymous, or do I get drawn into it? Do I have to perhaps testify in these cases?
The police have not given me all the details, but they have said that they as long as they get the driver, not the license number, that's what they're interested in. So any further information on that, the police will have to talk to us about.
And this is a pilot project. What's the thinking on this? Are we looking at it for a certain amount of time to gauge its success and maybe going province-wide with this?
That's correct. We're hoping that if RID is the success we believe it'll be in Saskatoon, then we can put it right across the province. The pilot will last for 1 year, and in that time we're going to analyze and look at the results and see if we can actually indicate that there is a decrease in the number of people who are driving while impaired, and even just sending the message out. If you are drinking, then don't drive. If you can save someone's life.
And I guess at the same time, we also have to remind the drivers that may feel they're going to report, remember about the law as well about texting or calling while you're driving. For the driver, you have to remember that this isn't, you don't get a free pass on this for picking up your cell phone. Again, it's you got to pull over to do it or use the hands-free if you have 911 programmed into it or have a passenger, I guess, make the call.
That's correct. We're hoping that the passenger can do it for you, or you can use your hands-free. There is part of the law does say if there's an emergency 911 that you're allowed to use your cell phone. But we're hoping that people will realize that we were doing all this with texting and cell phones for safety. So don't put yourself in any type of position where you may be injured yourself. Pull over and just make the call and just help the police do their job.
Good. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the numbers play out on this. June Draude, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
You bet. June Draude, the Minister in charge of SGI, as they launched this program this past Friday, pilot project here in Saskatoon, though, that if you're driving and you see a vehicle where you believe the driver's impaired, you can call 911. They won't say, no, don't call this number, call another. No, it's 911 that you call, and what the police are hoping you'll give them at least is the driver's license, and I assume some other information about what you're seeing. But again, by the sounds of things, that's all you have to do as far as being involved in it. And the neat thing that even if the police don't catch up with the driver, they plan on making contact with them in the form of a letter saying, your vehicle was seen, perhaps you were driving impaired, and warning people about the consequences. Report Impaired Drivers, RID, program now up and running here in Saskatoon.